We have yet another proposed stimulus bill to cover. I have now done a video covering the $2 trillion stimulus package that actually passed, and now two proposals. This will be the third one. If you haven't seen any of those videos yet, the link will be down below in the description, but don't go there until you're done watching this video. And if you aren't subscribed yet, be sure that you are subscribed. There is probably new stimulus proposals that I'm going to be covering on this channel to come, and any other videos for that matter, so be sure that you are subscribed with that notification bell clicked, so that you're notified every single time I make a new video. So as we know, this emergency has had a devastating effect on our economy, and there is growing support, a lot of it, for a second stimulus package to be passed in the House and the Senate. This is of course to help ease the financial burden that almost every single American is facing one way or another. Now, 3 Democrats are saying that the $1,200 stimulus checks were not nearly enough, as unemployment is soaring to the highest rates that we have ever seen since the Great Depression.
20.5 million Americans are out of work, numbers not seen since the Great Depression.
Just over these last several weeks, there have been several members of Congress that have proposed some sort of a stimulus measure in order to help Americans. Many of them would provide direct financial relief to struggling Americans. For example, there's been proposals that have said that there would be a $2,000 monthly payment during the crisis and a $1,000 payment for a year afterward. Another that would provide $2,000 a month for up to a year, and a proposal that would cancel rent and mortgage payments. So now this bill by 3 senators, Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, both of whom ran in the Democratic primary, and Senator Ed Markey, have now proposed the Monthly Economic Crisis Support Act. Senator Harris said that the $1,200 stimulus checks were not, quote, nearly enough to meet the needs of this historic crisis, and bills will need to continue to come in every single month during the pandemic, and so should help from government. Senator Sanders said that the one-time $1,200 check that many Americans received recently is not nearly enough to pay the rent, put food on the table, and make ends meet. If we can bail out large corporations, we can make sure that everyone in this country has enough income to pay for the basic necessities of life. This is essentially a rebate program that will provide direct monthly stimulus payments to eligible recipients. So a little bit similar to the other $2,000 monthly stimulus proposal, but a little bit different. So this one would give eligible individuals, they would receive $1,000 per month or $4,000 per month for married filing jointly, and plus an additional $2,000 per month for each qualified dependent, up to a maximum of 3 dependents. So who would be eligible for these stimulus payments? Well, it would be almost everyone. Specifically, eligible individuals would include any individual other than any non-resident alien individual, any individual who can be claimed as a dependent under Section 151, and an estate or trust. And much like the other proposals, eligibility is also based on income, so there are limitations as far as the AGI, or adjusted gross income, and the payments shall be reduced but not below zero by 10% for the amount of taxpayers' AGI that exceeds $200,000 in the case of a joint return, $150,000 in the case of a head of household, and $100,000 in the case of a taxpayer not described in some paragraph A or B. And you'd also be eligible if you smash the like button. Be sure to give it a big thumbs up. It will just help with the YouTube algorithm, so that way more people could see videos just like this and be in the know. And how would these payments be made? Well, just like the CARES Act, it would be through direct deposit when possible. The payments would be made via direct deposit if the IRS has the taxpayer's information already on file. But this proposal also calls for payments to be made through other means as determined by the Secretary of the Treasury. This would include the use of stored value cards and other methods of online payment systems. Now, these monthly checks would be retroactive to March and would continue until 3 months after the Health and Human Services Department has declared the public health emergency over. And according to Senator Harris, the legislation would also forbid debt collectors from seizing the rebate and ensure homeless and foster children to also receive payments. So when you size it up against the CARES Act, it would give monthly payments to Americans as opposed to just a one-time $1,200 stimulus check. This proposal would also increase the amount of money given to each child from $500 all the way up to $2,000, but there would be a cap at 3 children. So yes, there was another $2,000 a month proposal, and this was so that way Americans could receive $2,000 per month, and it was introduced last month in the U.S. House of Representatives by Representative Tim Ryan from Ohio and Representative Ro Khanna, and I did this video the other week. Ryan even said that it would provide a chance to explore the idea of UBI, or Universal Basic Income. As we know, that was the vision of Andrew Yang, then Democratic candidate.
$1,000 a month to every American over the age of 18. No strings attached.
If you were to put $1,000 a month in their hands, they use it in the most positive and beneficial way possible.
So if you don't remember, the House bill, not the Senate bill that we're covering, would give every American age 16 and older making less than $130,000 annually, they would receive $2,000 per month. Married couples earning less than $260,000 would receive $4,000 per month, and families with children would get $500 per child per month for up to 3 children, and those who are unemployed would also be eligible. Now, how likely is this bill to be passed? Well, there's already been several proposals that would send qualifying taxpayers $2,000 per month. And while they have gained some support, they have not hit a critical mass yet big enough in order to support passing these bills. And there's also been additional proposals that would help add funding for state and local governments or improve infrastructure. So all these proposals, no matter who it's from, what districts, are competing for limited funds, and it's very hard to see that a family of 4 would be sent $8,000 per month. If you did the math, that would be $96,000 per year on an annual basis for just sitting at home doing nothing. And to put that into perspective, this would actually exceed the median income of 2018, which hit a record high of $62,000 according to the U.S. Census Bureau website. So it is possible that we will see another stimulus bill pass, but it would be greatly revised and edited. This would be to reduce the total expenditure that would be associated with this bill or any other proposal for that matter. So in my view, I do understand the fact that yes, there are people unemployed, but you do have to realize that these jobs are going to come back a lot faster than something like what happened with the Great Depression or the 2008 financial crash. This scenario is a lot different than other recessions or the Depression for that matter, because the jobs would come back right away once the country is at least reopened. Yes, there's going to be precautions to take. Yes, stores and restaurants are going to have to deal with limited capacities. We've seen capacities of 50%, 25%, and I think Americans would be on board with that and totally okay with that if that meant getting their paychecks. We don't truly know where all this money is coming from. You gotta wonder how it's gonna be paid back. The US is already in an extreme amount of debt. It's even being called the king of debt, and it just recently hit a milestone of $25 trillion in national debt. We've been borrowing debt through the good times and the bad times now, and now the Treasury Department said that this week it will borrow $3 trillion this quarter alone, and that's nearly 6 times the previous record, which was set in 2008. But some experts are agreeing that it's necessary to borrow this amount of debt in order for the US to avoid going into a full-blown depression. So yes, there will be long-term consequences for the mountain of debt that Washington is racking up. This would probably end up meaning higher interest rates, hotter inflation, and higher taxes as well. So if we can keep the focus on American businesses and small businesses for that matter, and American households afloat, then this could be a good thing. From the recently passed $2 trillion stimulus package, which was the largest in US history, now $500 billion of forgivable loans have been handed out to small businesses, and direct payments have been given to low and middle income Americans. So while it might not heal 100%, it was still a small step to recovery. So it might just simply be for the greater good, and we have to deal with the ramifications that would come along in the next period of time. But some are arguing that this is just going to create laziness, and giving a family of 4 $8,000 a month for doing nothing is going to condition them to not want to work and just sit at home. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think this would be the ideal bill? What would your proposal be if you could have a voice in this? And do you think we should just reopen the country back up and forget it all? But I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and if you'd like to see more videos from my channel, I post videos every single week covering business, finance, entrepreneurship, mindset, strategy, and tips and tricks from my own experience. Be sure that you are subscribed. I post videos every single week without fail, every single week. And if you'd like to be notified every single time I make a new one, so that you're first and like to see it before anyone else, be sure that you do click that little notification bell as well, so that we're notified every single time I'm making a video. See you in the next one.